answer and develop, pretty complex surveys and questions.
Eric, can you just share your screen?
What's that?
Can you just share your
Yep.
screen? Yeah.
Yep. So, okay, you getting that? Okay. Just having a quick technical issue. I think you're seeing the QuestionPro screen and not the PowerPoint. So, audio, you're seeing the QuestionPro screen. So this is the okay. Are you seeing as I change the screen? No, you seem to be seeing a static view. So sorry, we're having some technical problems with the webinar. It seems to be frozen on a view of QuestionPro instead of the PowerPoint, which I was running through. So let me just see if I can get the GoToWebinar to refresh the screen view here. And so Elizabeth, I'm going to make you the presenter and then you can pass it back to me. Okay, so going to just pass the presentation to our marketing director and see if she can pass it back to me so we can get the screen view working. And new and new and new. Okay, so sorry about the delay there. Just had a kind of a hiccup in GoToWebinar. It seems to be back up online and working. You haven't missed anything, just a couple of intro slides on QuestionPro. So gonna move ahead now. In August of 2012, we purchased a company called PollBob that was a really leader in the social polling space. Earlier this year, I'd been talking to a number of our clients and I had heard frequently that people wanted the ability to run and set up polls quickly through QuestionPro. So obviously one of the fastest ways to develop that technology is to make an acquisition. So we purchased PollBob. There might have been some press. You might have seen some of our announcements out of it, a company out of Louisiana. So since August, our developers have been extremely busy integrating this technology into QuestionPro. And earlier this week on Monday, you would have seen if you've logged in that polls are now fully integrated into the QuestionPro interface. So that's the story, just a little bit of background on how you got QuestionPro set up on polling so quickly. So just real quick, I want to run through some of the features and use cases for polls to give you some context. So, really what we focused on with polling is the ability to quickly create and embed polls. So when we talk about the distribution of polls, our core focus here is really to allow you to set up a poll and embed it into a website, a forum, a blog, anywhere basically where you can run JavaScript, you can set up and add a QuestionPro poll. Ongoing data collection, this is obviously a great use case for polls. When you want to run more of a longitudinal study, measure satisfaction over time, measure product perception over time, this is a great instance to use a poll, set it up on your blog, your forum, and you can just leave it out there running and collecting data. Rapid feedback also, a lot of times instead of having to generate an email list or go out and find people to participate in the study, you can just put a quick poll up on your website and get opinions very quickly. One of the things we've done with our polling is the ability to add one or more questions. We found when we analyzed the data from PollBob that over 2/3 of users would take more than one poll if they were served it. And that's a really interesting finding. So you ask one question and 2/3 of the people will answer the second question if you are able to serve them a second question. So instead of most polling, which is really focused on a single question, we have added in the ability to run multiple polls in succession. And I'll show you how to set that up in just a second. We also wanted to add the ability to collect comments and add more contextual data. So we've done that as well. And lastly, we've added in some very easy social network distribution. So it's not just through embedding. You can also provide a web link. so that if you don't have a website to embed your poll into, you can host it basically through our website, and we'll host the poll for you. And the distribution method on that is very easy with social networks. So I'm going to now jump into QuestionPro itself and show you what this looks like live. So made a couple of changes to the basically the home screen on QuestionPro. So if you've not logged in since Monday, some of this will look new to you, but this is the live site. Now, as normal, in the left navigation, you have your list of surveys here and your folders where you can store those surveys. What we've added here now is a second menu of polls. And so this is where your polls now get stored. Same paradigm really as the surveys. The other thing you'll notice is that the global navigation has changed slightly for polling. We have edit poll reports and then our app store, as you may have seen on the surveys tab. If you click on any of these survey folders, then the global navigation will immediately change back to what you're more familiar with, the edit survey, send survey reports. So if you see a change to global nav, just know that that is dependent on the type of project you're editing, whether it's polling or surveys. Next thing you notice, obviously, is these two large buttons now. We have two different paths for the type of project you want to create. Create a survey is the same functionality we've always had, so nothing has changed here. Surveying is same as ever, but the create poll functionality is now here. So I'll quickly create a poll. We'll just call this the test poll. You can, as before, choose to save it in a folder. I'll just save it to my polls. And if you want, you can also now have the option to add an additional folder for polling. So we create the poll, and that will immediately send us on to the next tab, the Edit Poll tab. Now, an overview of this tab, same as the Surveys tab, you have your header area where you have information on how to distribute the poll, on the number of polls created. Since this is a new poll, there's 0 completed at this point. And then here's where you edit and set up your poll. So one of the things we've done is we've tried to give this a very easy to use kind of real-time editing interface. So as you add questions, you'll see the preview of the poll updates dynamically. So would you like to eat lunch? It's almost noon here on the West Coast, so this seems like a good question for me to ask. Got yes, we've got no, and then you can easily add a new option. It's maybe, and there you see the real-time display of what your poll looks like. With the polling, we have also added 3 different question types, really. The single choice, the multiple choice single option, which is what you see here. The multiple choice multiple select option, so I can now select multiple options, same as with surveys. And then a text box question. So this is how you would collect comments. So would you like to eat lunch? Obviously, that's not quite the right question for a comment box, but that's how you would set it up if you needed to. So yes, no, maybe we'll put our answer options back in. So that's what it takes to set up and run your first poll. As before, there's the preview link, same as the surveys, and you can see now this is what the poll will render like if you are distributing through a social network or through an email link. So that's the preview of it. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to add additional polling questions to it. And that performs, again, similar to surveys, but we've called it chaining another poll. So this is how you would add a second poll question. You click on chain another poll, and now here you have the blank poll. So let's say, what would you like for lunch? And again, add options. So we've got pizza, we've got soup, or for those of us on the West Coast who are hungry, we've got the beer lunch, the liquid lunch. So that's our what would you like for lunch question. And then as a last question, we can just add a, any other ideas. And this is a great option for a text box. So that's it. We've just created a 3-question poll. And now I'll show you the behavior. What would you like to eat for lunch? You select that. you vote, and then you're immediately served the next question. So this is really leveraging that finding. Two-thirds of the people you can expect will answer this second question in general. So that's the idea of chaining polls, and any other ideas you can look at open-ended text questions. When the users completed the poll, one of the real benefits of taking a poll is that you get, as a user, get instant feedback. And so we've incorporated that into the view as well. So you see the answers and the number of people. I'm the only person who's yet taken this poll, so total votes are only one, and 100% for yes. Want to eat lunch, as soup looks to be the most popular option. So that is an overview of setting up and running polls. The real benefit, though, that we see with running polls is actually, sorry about that. Let me show you one other thing with the colors. So we've set up a very basic color picker here, so you can adjust the poll colors, white, red, or white, yellow, blue, or what we have now. On the next up, this is the thing we're actually working on most quickly. Is in the next 2 weeks you'll see full customization of colors here. So you'll be able to perfectly match the brand colors you have on your website, on the forum or blog. We'll give you complete control over the view of the poll. We realize that's really important for people who are embedding their poll. So you can expect that in the next 2 weeks. Right now we just have the basic colors. If you do know the hex code, you can type in the hex code and get your custom poll colors even today. That's what hex code is, this hash sign FFFF. It's a color code. So if your designer can give you that, then you can even today get a custom poll color. The other thing we have is the ability to set the width of the poll. Pretty straightforward here. Large, small, medium. The one thing I will show you is custom. Sometimes you need this to fit an exact dimension on your site. Let's say you have a spot on your site that is 400 pixels wide, and we don't have a 400 pixel option. Custom will fill the available space. So if your developer gives you a spot of 400, it will just dynamically fill that space up to 400. So this is another great way to get it easily incorporated into your site and looking perfect. So let's take a look at what this looks like live on a site. I set up a poll the other day because I wanted to gather some opinions on our new data visualization tablet. You might have joined our webinar a couple weeks about Second Prism. It's a data visualization and analysis tablet that we launched about 3 weeks ago. It's free to use with your QuestionPro account. It's a great app if you have a chance to check it out. But I wanted to see how people on our website were responding to some of the information on the public pages of our website. So I set up this poll: are you interested in testing Second Prism? Now the cool thing about this is it took our developer probably about 5 minutes to get this integrated and launched onto the website. So really there's very little involvement. All he did, I cut and pasted this script right here where it says script, JavaScript. I sent that to him in email. He then copied and pasted that into the code, relaunched the website, and the poll was live. So very quick, easy way to get things up and running on your website. And then, as we saw before, the behavior is very similar. So you take the poll, and here I have chained multiple polls together. So are you a QuestionPro user currently? I am. And if you'd like to enter your email to receive additional information. So a great way to kind of collect ongoing follow-up information based on some of the polls you're running on a website. So I'm going to actually skip that, and that will just send a thank you message for participating in this poll. Now, what I didn't want to do here is I did not want to show my users how many people are interested in taking the interested in testing Second Prism. I didn't want to show my users the percentage of people who were and were not QuestionPro users. So we give you control over whether you show the statistics at the end of the poll and have an option for just showing the thank you message. So I'll now jump back into QuestionPro and show you how to set that up, because there are certainly many instances where you will not want to share with your users the statistics on your poll. So on the left navigation here, you've got your add edit poll. That's where we created our poll. You can now go to results settings. And right here, results protection results displayed after voting. So right now with the poll about lunch, I have my results displayed. If I do not want to display them, I simply click that results never displayed. Now, if I want to display the results, but I don't want to show them how many people voted. Sometimes you might want to say, oh yeah, 66% of people want to eat lunch right now, but you don't want to tell them how many people voted. Maybe you're not collecting as much data. You want to just not show them the amount of data that you've collected. You can just show no total shown. So I will show you, I'll save these result settings. And now I'll go back to my poll. And if I preview this, do I want to eat lunch? Soup. And so now you can see 50-50 split for people who yes and no do want to eat lunch right now, but the total is gone. It does not show me that 2 people have voted on this. So it's a great way to display the aggregate data without showing them the total amount of voting activity you've had. So now the last thing here is how do you control people from stuffing the ballot box, basically? How can you stop people from taking the poll over and over again and overwhelming the results? So there's 3 options we have here. Enable multiple votes from same source. That's what I've set up right now. So I can vote as many times. Do I want to eat lunch, yes or no? I can also allow only one vote from a computer or from a browser, really, and that's cookie based. So I won't go into all the complexities of cookies, but basically we set a small piece of code on the browser that says do not allow this person to take the poll a second time. If they clear their cookies then, and the user knows how to clear their cookies, which a lot of people increasingly do, they can again begin voting multiple times. Last thing with restricted voting, 1 vote per IP address. This is the best way to lock it down because we write the IP address to our servers and we will not allow the same IP address to vote more than once. Now, the issue there is that in organizations like here at the QuestionPro office, we share IP addresses. So if you're sending this to a internal group, like people at your company, work at a large company where IP addresses are shared, you're going to have some problems here because people will want to vote for the first time, but the IP address is blocked. So this is very restrictive, and you do need to be careful about this. If you want to restrict multiple voting, this none, unless cookies are cleared, is the kind of the most common and safest way to take care of that. So then you would just click on Save Result Settings. So that's really it. That's a pretty quick overview of how to set up the polls. There's a few more things we'll walk through, but that is the basics. One last thing I would mention, and I'll show you this to you with the second Prism poll, is once you have this poll, let me go back to a fresh poll. Once you have this poll code up on your website, you control this. The developer does not control what is inside this box. So you as the survey author get to control this. So are you interested in testing Second Prism? Let's say your boss comes by and says, hey, I don't want to use the word testing. I'd like to use the word trying. You don't have to talk to your developer to go and make that change. You can do that yourself just through the polling interface. And so now I've changed this. Are you interested in trying Second Prism, which is the language we originally had here? And I just refresh this page rather. And now, are you interested in trying Second Prism is live? So this is great. It allows you to get around your development group sometimes and make quick changes to polls. If there's a spelling error or something, you don't have to go through the whole code and release cycle of the website. So you control this as the survey author. So that is a pretty good overview of the polling technology. I want to show you something on the reporting side. Now I've switched to the Second Prism poll. So you can see now here, polls completed 25. So this has been up for just a couple days, but we have had some voting activity on this. So the reporting tab for existing QuestionPro users will look very similar to the way it's always looked. We have 98 polls viewed, 30 started, 25 completed. The summary data then is shown here on the home tab of the reports. And you can see, are you interested in trying Second Prism? I've got about almost 70% of people, including my last vote that I put in myself, are interested in trying it. Uh, about 13% are not interested in, and 17% are. So again, quick feedback on the polling. What's interesting about what we've done with the chaining the poll, though, is you can now pivot and cross-tab your polling data, which is something that you rarely see done with polling. But because we've built this on top of our survey platform, you can run cross-tabulations very easy. So I'll set up a quick cross-tabulation and show you what I mean. I go to this online tools, I click into the cross-tabulation tab, and I want to see an analysis of people who are QuestionPro users and their interest in trying Second Prism. So I set up those two cross tabulations, and I have the results displayed right here. So are you currently a QuestionPro user? For people who answered yes to that, I can see that 80% of people who are currently using QuestionPro are interested in trying Second Prism, whereas people who are not QuestionPro users, 60% are trying. So I see a greater preference for Second Prism amongst existing QuestionPro users. However, I also see a genuine level of interest amongst non-QuestionPro users. So this is interesting to me as a marketer. It lets me know that while this product appeals to my existing users, even people who are probably visiting the site for the first or second time still show a pretty high level of interest, 60% in it. So this is one of the real advantages of running chained or multiple polls, is that you can begin to cross-tab or pivot the data similar to the way you would run a survey. So wanted to show you that in terms of digging deeper into your poll data, and really encourage you to set up multiple or chain polls. Again, you know that you're probably going to have a very high response rate on the second question, and it gives you some richness to your data that you would not have if you ran just a single poll. Uh, Going back to reports overviews, we have the same functionality for exporting data. So this again is a very common requirement once you've finished a poll. And you can export to Excel, just simply click the download there. You can export to PowerPoint, Word, or Excel with the pre-formatted graphs. You can export directly to Google Docs or to Dropbox, so export directly to the cloud. If you're an SPSS user, same functionality, and again, same functionality with the API for our more advanced users. All of this functionality also exists for polling, so we've integrated all the sort of standard reporting and analytics features. Open-ended text is also available with polling because we do have the comment question. So I had solicited email addresses on the poll about Second Prism, and you can see here most people don't offer up their email. This is probably not too surprising to anyone, so no thank yous, but I do have a few new customers to reach out to. So that's how you would analyze your text data. The last thing I'll show you on the analysis tab here is a new feature that we've launched called infographics. So on the left navigation here, you want to click into the infographic tab. And this is a great way to generate a quick view of your polling data and be able to send around a very slick looking pre-formatted results analysis of the poll to your users. So generate chart options is how you set up the infographic. So I've just called this interest in Second Prism. I select the questions that I want to display in the infographic, and then I select a start date for when I started collecting data. I'll make that Monday, the 8th. I click generate here, and then you scroll down. You can see this very nicely formatted infographic. It shows you a global view of countries surveyed. The countries will start to highlight as we collect more data. It's most of the activity has been done in the U.S. here, but I can see Thailand has voted unknown. We do this based on IP address, and the IP address is not always 100% mapped in terms of its geolocation. So you will get some unknown data. But for anyone running a big global survey, this map will start to look really interesting as you see data coming in across Europe, across Asia, and across America. We will shade it with the levels of activity. Daily response views, also really interesting to see your voting activity over day. So we've aggregated this into a histogram view. I just put this poll up 3 days ago, so there's limited histogram data here. But this will populate over time, and you can see maybe your poll is beginning to wane, and that means it's time for a new poll. And then our highlighted questions displayed as simple charts and pie charts. So that is the infographic. Very easy to email around to people within your organization, or if you did have public data, we've provided links to share it instantly on any of the popular social networks. So that's an overview of the reporting features. Again, very similar to our existing QuestionPro users. You have all the same functionality as before. So I'm going to jump back now to the slides I have and talk a little bit about what's coming up next. So as I mentioned when I was running through the setup of the poll, custom colors. So this is a preview of what we're currently in development. We'll have about 8 standard poll colors, so you can choose from generic colors, or you have full custom control over the look and feel of the poll. So that will make it a lot easier to embed and have it look as a seamless part of your site. Uh, Logic, we're going to add the ability to run branching. So, same functionality as we have on the QuestionPro surveys. You'll be able to skip logic. You'll be able to do delayed branching, really some fancy stuff, and allow you to create very kind of custom bespoke polls on your website. Deeper social integration. There's some things we're looking at with Twitter to allow some previews of polls once the poll makes it into the Twitter feed. They're called expanded tweets. It's something that Twitter has just recently launched. So we're looking at deeper social integration to improve the response rates of your poll when you are distributing it on social networks. Similarly, we're looking at some options with Facebook to actually embed the poll into Facebook. Multilingual support. Right now, the polls will support multiple languages, but we do not yet have a language chooser. So the poll only goes out in a single language. Similar with QuestionPro surveys, we're going to add a functionality where the user can select at the beginning of the poll whether they want to take it in English, French, German, etc., and add full multilingual support. Then last thing, a single embed code, multiple polls. This is actually really cool and is going to make your life a lot easier if you work at a big company where it's hard to get something integrated on your website. What we're going to do is allow you to put up a single piece of embed code and then attach different polls to that embedded code. So you can run a poll for 6 weeks saying, what is your opinion of product A? And then once that poll has concluded, without having to call your development team and ask them to change the code on the website, you can associate a new poll rather, with that piece of code. And the new question could be, what do you think of product B? So we'll allow you to run multiple polls in succession over time without ever having to contact your developers, which will make it very, very easy to use this in an ongoing context. So those are just a few of the upcoming developments that we have on the polls. So that really concludes the walkthrough of the polling functionality. Next steps, obviously create a poll. It's free to use. That's something I didn't mention at the beginning of the webinar, but this is free. There are no limitations on polls. You can create as many polls as you want, embed as many polls as you want on your website, and there's no caps. So anyone, whether you're coming in on a very basic account or one of our top tier accounts, everyone has free access to polling. If you want to see more QuestionPro training, we do run every Thursday, except for this Thursday, where we've done the special polling webinar, a QuestionPro survey training webinar. So I encourage you to join that. You can find the link through our QuestionPro homepage under resources. Request a demo of our advanced features. I mentioned before, we'd love to talk to anyone individually if they have more questions, they want to go deeper into polling, if you want to see more about the website or the surveys, and also read our blog. So you see some contact information there on the slide. If you have any questions, I definitely encourage you to get in touch with us. And I'd like to open it up for any questions about polling right now. If you have a question, please just type it into the text box on the GoToWebinar screen.
Hey, so Doug had some questions. I was answering it while the webinar was going on. So he seems to be having some issue with his i8. So Doug, we have tested this on all the browsers, and I'm not. There could be some specific JavaScript error in your browser. So I'll connect with you once we're done with the webinar and we can check out what the real issue could be. And like you said, it seems to be working fine on Firefox. So I'll double check this for you, and I have your contact information, so I'll get in touch with you once we're done with the webinar. If anyone has any questions, just go ahead and you can type it in and we can take them.
Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. Again, there's further contact information on this slide. I'll go back up to the page with my contact information and Aditya's contact information if you want to get in touch with either of us individually. Uh, I personally love to hear from our customers. I make an effort to reach out and talk to our customers every month. If you have any questions for me about polling, if you have any ideas about what we can do with this functionality, what would work better for your business, please reach out and suggest those things to me. I always want to make sure we're considering as much feedback as we can as we develop and launch these new products. So unless there are any last questions, we'll go ahead and conclude the webinar. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything else, so I just want to thank everyone for joining today, and I
Hey, hold
hope
on.
you all
Hey,
have.
just one
Oh,
second, Eric. We have one question.
okay.
Can you use logic to jump to a new poll depending on the answer? So that's a really good question. Logic is something that is in coming up in our upcoming versions. Right now, the chaining is just it displays the next poll that you have set up. But in the upcoming versions, yes, logic will be a part of polling where not only can you set up simple kind of logic based on answer options to the previous poll, but you would be able to do something way more advanced and cool. So yes, logic will be a part of our polling real soon. I hope that answers your question, Caddy.
Great. Good question. Something our developers are currently working on this. In fact, if you were looking at my screen, you would have seen a button that says Logic. That's in just the preview mode that I have, but you can expect that very quickly. The functionality is almost completely done. So, any other questions we can take? Okay. Well, once again, I want to thank everyone for joining. Wish you the best of success with your research, and I hope that the polling functionality comes in very useful in gathering ongoing feedback and rapid feedback and embedded embedded research on your site. Thank you very much for joining.
The organizer